So despite the fact that we did make a video earlier in the week highlighting the supposed idea that the Vancouver Canucks are not drafting Caleb Malhotra even if he's there, it doesn't fully eliminate the possibility that he could be a Canuck. I mean, who was it? Scott Wheeler? Somebody posted their mock draft a few days ago and they had Caleb Malhotra still going to Vancouver despite the reports that we heard from David Pagnotta that apparently that won't be the case. There is this element that maybe Caleb Malhotra would prefer not being drafted by the Canucks because he doesn't want a part of his NHL career and success to be directly handed to him by his dad. There are some weird elements to the Malhotra timeline that can present itself if Caleb is a Vancouver Canuck. But with that said, if you are still thinking that a center should be Vancouver's main priority at third overall, you would prefer them to take a guy down the middle rather than a guy on the back end, I want to propose Viggo Bjorck. And this is an idea that I actually have been feeling myself slowly over the past few months. I've been subconsciously floating this around in my brain, but a part of me was kind of thinking, maybe that's a little too bold to make a video about. Up until there was a post made by Competitive Sun on the R Canucks subreddit. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about the idea of the Vancouver Canucks taking Viggo Bjorck at third instead of Caleb Malhotra? Now, I'll say this right off the bat. I've mentioned this a few times over the past few weeks, but I have had many conversations with people in my personal life, fans of the YouTube channel, personal friends of mine, other mutuals that know hockey but don't really know me too well. And the common consensus amongst the people that I speak to in Vancouver seems to be that Caleb Malhotra is a safe pick at 3. And maybe not necessarily a guy that you would be taking because he has the highest ceiling, quote unquote. In fact, I've seen a number of people, myself included, that actually do see a guy like Viggo Bjorck as having a higher ceiling than Caleb Malhotra. Height be damned, Malhotra is 6'2", Viggo Bjorck is 5'9", but Viggo Bjorck is a guy that has slowly climbed up the ranks in terms of public perception and overall status. His consolidated ranking is 5th overall. The highest ranking he's got is the Hockey News Tony Ferrari, who has him at number 3. Smart Scouting also has him at 3. There are a number of outlets here that have him at 4, at 5, at 6. It really is the height that holds him back. When was the last time you saw a 5'9" center go 3rd overall? Doesn't seem to happen too often. Caleb Malhotra is safer, he's bigger, he's a good old Canadian kid. But when we made our video a few weeks ago, I said that I feel like Caleb Malhotra has more of a Bo Horvat-like ceiling. Viggo Bjorck has that Braden Point Nick Suzuki to his game. Both guys that can be pretty responsible on the dot and defensively, but I feel like Bjorck just has that extra little edge offensively that makes him a higher ceiling guy. And this is what was talked about on the R Canucks subreddit. I'm on the Bjorck train at 3rd overall, Competitive Sun said. I know Malhotra is the most popular Canucks pick right now, and I get why. Big center, local ties, good bloodlines, safe two-way profile, probably interviews well, etc. He's a really good prospect. But the more I think about it, the more I think Bjorck might be the actual upside play at 3. The thing with Caleb is that a lot of his rise is based off of one monster season and a late season explosion. Again, that matters. You don't fluke your way into 84 points in a huge playoff run, but before this year, he wasn't exactly screaming top 3 pick. He had a pretty quiet BCHL year, then got a huge opportunity in Brantford when O'Brien was away and hurt, and Malhotra ran with it. That's impressive, but it also makes me wonder if we're buying the peak of the hype a little bit. With Bjorck, I feel like the concerns are more obvious, but the upside is more special. He is smaller, yes. Not a burner, yes, but he's played real minutes in the SHL against men, earned trust from coaches, played center, played in all situations, and by the end of the year was basically being used by Djurgården as their 1C. That's not normal for a draft-eligible kid, especially not one who apparently can't handle pro hockey because he's 5'9". The part I keep coming back to is that Malhotra had a great junior season. Bjorck was already solving pro hockey. For a team like Vancouver, I don't think we should be drafting the guy who feels like the safest pick because he looks like an NHL center. We should be drafting the guy who processes the game like a top-line player. Bjorck's hockey sense, deception, compete, wall play, give-and-go game, and two-way reads all feel like things that translate. He is not just a small, skilled guy cheating for points. And honestly, if Bjorck was 6'1", this isn't a debate. He'd get talked about right up there with Stenberg and McKenna. That's usually where teams get burned in the draft, overvaluing the frame and undervaluing the brain. Not to mention his brother is 6 feet and he's only 18 with room for growth. By the way, his brother is a Vancouver Canucks prospect, FYI. Just saying. I'm not saying Caleb sucks, he doesn't. I'd be happy with him if the scouts truly believe he is the guy. But at third overall, I don't want a safe 2C with leadership vibes. If there's a chance Bjorck is the smarter, more dynamic, more projectable offensive driver, I'd go him if McKenna and Stenberg are gone. The Canucks need actual game-breaking skill down the middle, not just the most Canucks-coded pick available. And the top reply with 90 upvotes, if Stenberg is gone, I'd be ecstatic with Viggo at 3. Johnny Lawrence says, this is a hot take, but I have Bjorck above Stenberg on my board. Stenberg is nearly 19 and missed the cutoff of 2024 by only a few weeks. Does he mean 2025? I think he does. Bjorck's nearly 6 months younger than Stenberg, and if you compare their 17-year-old SHL seasons by birth date, Stenberg, September 30th, 2024 to September 30th, 2025, had 7 points in 32 SHL games, while Bjorck, March 25 to March 26, has 15 points in 42 games, with much better defensive metrics, all while being a smaller player. You know what? I personally didn't need convincing beforehand because I was already low-key on the Viggo Bjorck over Caleb Malhotra train, but after reading some of that and taking a look at these numbers, it's hard to argue. Viggo Bjorck is a really good prospect. And heck, if the Vancouver Canucks want to pull off some sort of Brian Burke Hall of Fame-worthy sedinery at 2 and 3, maybe they can pull off a masterclass in trades by finding a way to get that second overall pick from San Jose. Say, hey, what if we give you 24? We'll give you Filip Hronek. We'll give you a nice prospect. You give a second overall, and then the Canucks take Stenberg and Bjorck, the two guys that were dominating for Team Sweden at the World Championships. And maybe that fits like the Sedins did 27 years ago into the long-term future. I don't know. Okay, is San Jose giving up second? They're probably giving up 9. That feels a lot more reasonable, right? Let's say the Canucks trade away Filip Hronek for 9, because Bowen Byram, goodness forbid, that guy just went for number 4. Heck, maybe Vancouver can trade with Buffalo to get number 4, and then force themselves up into the top 2. It would be so poetic if that went down, right? Like, oh, Buffalo, y'all just got rid of Bowen Byram. Y'all got Louis Crevier in the deal, but how would you feel about getting Filip Hronek? Give us 4th overall, and we'll talk, and then Vancouver can package 4 and 24 for number 2. And then they get 2 and 3, and then they take Viggo Bjorck and Ivar Stenberg. Oh my gosh, that sounds so great. Obviously, I am just fantasy GMing it on the fly right here. But I do feel like, in my heart of hearts, if I had to predict who has the higher ceiling NHL impact, I'd say Viggo Bjorck is that guy over Caleb Malhotra. I'm sorry. I like Manny Malhotra. I like Caleb Malhotra. But Viggo Bjorck, he does something to me, man. He does something. And the fact that his brother is already a Canucks prospect playing at Colorado College with a decent amount of point production, and hopefully more later on, goodness, there are a number of brother elements that you could bring into the fold with this draft, eh? Who knows if it happens, who knows if it doesn't, but you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section whether or not you think Viggo Bjorck is the better prospect to take at 3rd than Caleb Malhotra for the Vancouver Canucks. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.